Yes, fellow Ambazonians, this is today, Wednesday. We are here with your humble diplomat, son of the soil, and I just came online so we can talk about the recent developments that we are seeing happening before our very eyes with the struggle. So, comrades, as you join, please share the live show. Share the link. Let us get others on board. I'll be very short here, maximum 40 minutes. 1 hour I'll be out. So I just want to explain these things to Ambazonians because many Ambazonians have been reaching out to me on the phone, messages, and different means, and they want to make some understanding of what is going on. So I think that I just want to use this 40 minutes to explain to our people these things. So Ambazonians, as you join, please we are just starting. Share the link, invite others on board, and let us talk. There's a lot to talk about and there's a lot to look forward to. So please, as you are joining, you can share the link and invite others as well. So let us move on. Yes, there is a lot to talk about by country people them. So please, as you are joining, please let us do some kind of interactive action here. Yes, Evis So Eyong say greeting, comrade. Thank you for coming. If you are here, please type a comment. Let us interact. And I miss you guys, Ambazonians. I can't wait that we meet in Boya, and we can actually, get to embrace ourselves and feel the breeze of freedom. So if you are here, please, if you are watching, you can put a comment. Let me see those who are commenting. Please comment. I want to hear from you. How are you doing? And I appreciate that you are here today watching this live show. Gala Diran says, good. Yes, thank you, bro, for putting your comments, sir. I appreciate that. I would like to read from more those who are watching live. But we are just starting this live show, so perhaps we can wait for others to join. There's a lot to talk about Ambazonians. Let's just give a few minutes and we're right on. Isaac from Gabon. I appreciate that you're here, comrade. Thank you for coming. Thanks for coming. Malinying. I appreciate your comment, bro. I appreciate we are together. Evin Soyon, Cyprus, yes. I appreciate for coming, comrade. I salute you. 21 gun salute for all of you guys here today. But please do me a favor, share the video. You cannot watch alone. Please click share. Let's get others on. Emmanuel says watching from Netherlands. Comrade Emmanuel, I appreciate you, comrade. We are together, one spirit. Please hit the share button. Yes, Ambazonians, we are just starting this live show. If you are just joining me right now, we are just starting. You haven't missed anything, but please, I want to read from you. Come on, comrades. I want to read from you. Let us type a comment here. Let us talk. And please hit share the video on WhatsApp groups and invite others to join. Actually, Lucas is live. Yes. Those guys are doing a fantastic job anyway. I just have to come on here and put out my message as well on Ambazonians. I think people can always watch these things after, comrades. Don Eno watching from EUA. Thank you, comrades. Thanks, comrades. I think that we can start anyway. Others can join us later on. So as usual, we start with our anthem. Hear this line of glory, with the Ambazonians who pledge their loyalty. Praise the Son of Savior who granted us our freedom. Pledge us to the hero who bought the land with their blood. Glory to glory, we rise to never to fall. Here in a nation, so in we milk and honey. Glory, glory, glory to the Father for making you a nation and joy forevermore. Ambazonia, land of freedom, you shall live in plenty, meeting our needs. And your children shall be like the stars above. The Most High God be the watchman of this nation. Ambazonia, land of freedom, you shall live in plenty, meeting our needs. And your children shall be like the stars above. The Most High God be the watchman of this nation. Yes, fellow Ambazonians, thank you very much for being with me here today. DMC respectful Lord Munjo Paul say babyface greetings. I salute and appreciate all your comments, Ambazonians. It is always a privilege, it is always an honor for me to come here and share this moment of my life with you guys, Ambazonians. And as a tradition for me, comrades, I always like to start my live show by reminding Ambazonians, reminding our comrades, how far have we gone? You know, Ambazonians, when we look back when we started, 4 years ago, we started the war, we were talking peace, we traveled with peace plans. The Cameroon regime, the brutal regime of Mr. Paul Biya came with impunity and arrest our people, kill our children, our young men and women were raped. And we decide to invoke our right to self-determination. And 4 years down the road, we are a full contender of the struggle of our own independence. And Ambazonians, I'm sorry this is kind of late, but I just have to put out this message out today. So please, it is very important. As you are watching this live show, you can kindly share. I want to break down the recent events to Ambazonians. I want every Southern Cameroonian, this is a very important live show, you have to share it. Every Southern Cameroonian have to understand what is happening on the ground. And we have to make an understanding of this thing so we can move forward, you know, with one mind and one spirit, Ambazonians. First of all, I want to start by thanking all the comrades of this revolution. All the sons and daughters of Southern Cameroons in Nigeria, in the bushes, in the United States, in Europe, Ground Zero and Ground One, in Ghana. I appreciate your support. We appreciate your tenacity. Together, we are strong. We know it is difficult. We know it is very tough. But we must pay the price because we know that freedom is never given, but it is something that you have to fight and die for. We know that this revolution was never a walk in the park. And that is why we must continue to remind ourselves that it is our collective responsibility, our collective duty to fight together to free our homeland, to be a stakeholder of our homeland, to invest in this freedom struggle to free our people. We have to understand, as Nelson Mandela said, that sometimes God usually places it on a certain generation to become a great generation. So we are that choosing generation to free Southern Cameroon, to complete the process of restoring our independence. So Southern Cameroonians, it is an honor to be a comrade with you guys. It's an honor to be a soldier of the revolution with you. I am happy I have someone that even if I fall tomorrow, I am very sure that this struggle will never fall. I am very sure that you guys are going to continue this struggle and get to the finish line. And that is what gives me assurance and hope. And Southern Cameroonians, we are here today to talk about the recent events and activities on Ground Zero. We have seen in recent days the envoy from the Vatican, the Pope, sent his right-hand man, we say in Ambazonia, to Cameroon to meet Mr. Paul Biya and to talk. We don't know why, but I will tell you why he went there. I will break down that to you down. And we also know of the recent pronouncement and the statements coming from the new American regime, the Biden administration, Secretary of State Antony Blinken, and also during the confirmation process of the new U.S. ambassador to the United Nations, and the statement of Linda Thomas Greenfield about Ambazonia, and the recent comment also made by Congresswoman Karim Bass. We are going to look into those things. We are going to talk about the role of religion in Africa and why Cameroon is using religion now in our struggle. They started with Southwest and Northwest. That didn't succeed. They failed, and now they are tapping into the new line. You know, Cameroon is changing their strategies, and we must understand these things. First, they brought fear. How did they brought fear to us? They brought their soldiers, killings, burning of villages, and brutality. They impact fear on our people. That didn't succeed. They failed. What did they step into next? They tap into our emotions. They tap into our emotions by preaching peace and peace plan and all those things, and trying to let us talk peace, let us make peace without justice. They tap into our feelings. That failed. They moved to the next step was what? The divide between Southwest and Northwest. It failed. And now they are using religion. And our people need to understand these things. And we are going to tell them these things as well. And we are going to tell Ambazonians the track record of the Catholic Church in Africa and in the world. I want to explain to Ambazonians. I'm not a historian, but I will give you little information. You can find the rest for yourself. Dig the rest for yourself today. These informations are very easy to find. You don't need to go to the library to find books. They're on the internet these days. You can get reliable information from reliable sources from the internet. Actually, the history of the Catholic Church in slavery, and the history of the Catholic Church during the American Civil War, the war that Americans fought to form what they call the United States of America today. You have to know which side of that war was the Catholic Church and why. And again, Ambazonians, I want to explain to Ambazonians today something that we have been missing within this struggle, within the past 4 years. We have been missing to analyze this issue. The enemies and the friends of our enemy in this struggle. That is something that I have to explain to Ambazonians today. Lastly, and one of the things I want to talk about first is the African Nations Cup that is going on in Ambazonia. Like I said, Ambazonians, Cameroon uses that Nations Cup to tell the world that everything in Cameroon is fine. But unfortunately for Cameroon, the Nations Cup has given access to countries, foreign media, and people to come to that. And the Nations Cup brought focus on Cameroon. And the rest of the world can now see for themselves that Cameroon is not okay. That there is a brutal war going on between Cameroon and Ambazonians. And that is something good. Because Cameroon was thinking they're going to use the Nations Cup as a stage to sell their case that everything is under control. But Ambazonians, we defeated them. They failed because you saw even today the recent explosion in Limbe. And throughout the Nations Cup, the scandal around the whole stuff. It's a shame and it's a sham. And Cameroon is again is being exposed. And we have managed to, to actually use something that was meant to harm Ambazonians. We have managed to turn a negative into positive. And I will go down to break this into you people, or to slowly, I'm just giving you the headlines. And something also that I want to talk about today is we must think about our tactics as we are going forward, what we need to do, and how we are going to achieve what we want to achieve. And as we are going forward, what is the language you need to be using when we are talking about our struggle, this independence, this restoration of our statehood, and also the right to self-determination, the language that we have to use to put our case. And all these things will be in this live show. So right now, Ambazonians, let me begin. So Cameroon is hosting a fake sham Nations Cup to show the world that everything is fine, and they are having control of a war that they are losing. Remember, Cameroon declared this war on Ambazonians. They thought they were going to crush us like nothing. But after 4 years, they are recently recruiting 2,000 something soldiers because they are falling heavily in Ambazonia. Their water law is there in Ambazonia. Our soldiers and our forces on the ground are very strong. One thing we always tell Ambazonians is that In any struggle, in any war, there's people learn as time goes. We have been learning. Our soldiers are now very, very vigilant, very intelligent and smart. And also, we master the game. You know, Cameroon is a big army. It's a big conventional army. They are large. They are more visible. They are more exposed. They are less flexible. But we are fighting as ghosts. We strike and disappear. We have strength. No regime in this world, Ambazonians, have ever defeated a guerrilla war. No regime. Even the Americans lost in Iraq. Even the strongest army in the world have not been able to defeat a guerrilla war. Because there is no force in the world that can defeat the masses of the people. And that is something I want to also talk today to Ambazonians. The masses of Ambazonians. The masses. The masses of Southern Cameroons. The 85% of our population. Young people below the age, between the age of 19 or 18 to 40. The mass majority that is not active in this revolution. The mass majority that is not fully taking part in this struggle. The mass majority on ground zero that is sleeping in something that's supposed to be their own. I said last time, Ambazonia, that if we are going to free Ambazonia, this land belongs to the young people, not the older ones. The younger ones are going to be longer in Southern Cameroons more than the older ones. So we have to take the front line. We have to be in front. The youth of Ambazonia. That is why we have what we call now the Southern Cameroon Ambazonian Youth Council. And the Ambazonian Youth Council is not a new movement. The Ambazonian Youth Council was there from the beginning in Bamenda when they organized the first demonstration with the teachers. Mr. Tassang was there. We have the Ambazonian Youth Council delegation was present together with the strike with the lawyers from day one. From day one. But this revolution picked up and then the young people were sidelined and they stayed behind. And some of the young people that are in this struggle, all they are doing, they are pressing other leaders and groups and people. They are not part of the solution. They are now doing some kind of jobs that are not positive the struggle. I will not dwell on those things. I want to go to the important things on Southern Cameroons. We need to revive our young people back into the struggle. We need to bring back the people of Southern Cameroons on ground zero. One of the things we have failed to do in this struggle so far is to re-energize and revamp the local population. Our local population is being left behind. Listen, Ambazonians, this war is not a war to defeat Cameroon. We are fighting a war of ideas. The simple idea that Southern Cameroon was an independent state with an independent right to self-determination, that has been hijacked. The idea that you were never part of Cameroon, that is the idea we are fighting. Your own identity. The consciousness of Southern Cameroon, the Ambazonian consciousness. And you cannot win, listen, you cannot free a slave who doesn't want to be free. You cannot win that war without a population. We need the involvement, cooperation of the people on ground zero. The masses of Southern Cameroons have to be part and parcel of this struggle. We cannot win and impose freedom on anyone. You can't. Everybody needs to fight for their own freedom. You cannot impose freedom on people. People need to fight for their freedom. People need to want to have freedom. We need to do that at this stage. We need to do that at this stage. People need to want to have that freedom. The youth, the masses. I'm going to come down on the masses of Southern Cameroon at the end. The masses of Southern Cameroon. The masses. We are fighting this fight for you. We are not fighting the fight for ourselves. Those of us in the diaspora, we might never even come back. Even if Southern Cameroon is free. Many will not even show back there to live there. We are fighting this fight for you. You have to understand this. So if you don't cooperate in one way or the other, you are the one who is going to bear the brunt of Cameroon. You are the one. We are fighting this fight for those on the ground. And they shouldn't be confused. It shouldn't be confused. And I want to say something to you, Ambazonians. When this is about unity and collaboration, when a thief break into your house at night, you have to together fight that thief. You shouldn't instead start to question people in your house like, who forget to lock the door? Who was the last person to come in? No, you shouldn't do that. You're supposed to focus to fight and defeat the thief and secure your home. What I see Southern Cameroonians are doing right now, we are fighting ourselves instead of fighting the enemy. And the enemy is invading. Listen, Amazonians, people are going to mismanage money in this revolution. People are going to do things that are wrong in this revolution. It is going to happen. But we are not going to stop now in the middle of the revolution. We start to analyze and to find 1 cent and 1 kobo. No, we cannot do that. Right now, we must focus on freeing Southern Cameroons. There'll be mistakes. Whoever has embezzled money, or whoever is going to embezzle money, the money is going to be, they are not going to hide. Listen, we are living in the new age now, new era, right? You cannot disappear money from bank accounts that we cannot trace. We are going to trace every money at the end of this struggle. Please focus on defeating Cameroon. We are stuck in this argument of who have embezzled money, who have done what. We must focus on the enemy and come together as a people to fight. People will make mistakes. We are going to make mistakes. But the importance is that we wake up and move forward. That is very important. I am still coming back on the issue of ground zero. I am coming back there. I want to move progressively. Progressively. Now, Cameroon have failed. The international community is talking. Everybody is talking. Calling for inclusive dialogue and a proper dialogue that is going to bring us together as a party. But Amazonians, there is something we need to understand. There's something we need to understand here. If there is any meaningful dialogue that is ever going to happen in this struggle, it is going to happen because our self-defense on the ground is strong. It is not going to happen because of the killings on ground zero. Listen, our people, we need to understand. There are more brutal killings in other parts of the world than in Southern Cameroon. Impunitive killings are going on. If you look around, the entire globe is a chaos. People are killing each other in different parts of the globe. So if you are thinking that the international community is going to react because of the killings, no, you need to rethink. If you are thinking the international community is going to come because of your shouting on social media, no, you need to rethink. The only reason the international community is going to intervene in this struggle will be the force of our soldiers on the ground. When they see that you are a contender, that is when they are going to respond. Not because of how many people are being killed or the social media cry. It's because of self-defense. We must understand this. The key to get our independence is self-defense. We must understand this. It's self-defense, nothing else. Nothing else. It's gone both diplomacy. That is the thing that is going to give us freedom. Cameroon have failed. The world is talking because of our strength on the ground. And now we are seeing the faces, the different faces of Cameroon. The regime is changing their tactics. They tried with the Nations Cup, it completely failed. And now they are using religion. Amazonians, last week you saw the Pope's envoy, the Vatican envoy came to Cameroon. The man came for a simple mission. The Vatican want to act as a mediator. He came and met Paul Biya and presented their offer to Mr. Paul Biya, and Mr. Paul Biya says no. Paul Biya refused. Paul Biya is refusing because he sees things that they have strength on the ground, and the people that are around him, they are deceiving him, giving him lies that he's going to win, that they are okay. Now, this is the thing. The Vatican is coming to mediate. You have to ask yourself this question. Is it to mediate to give us independence, to give us our right to self-determination, or to mediate to give us, I don't know, 10-state federation or unitary Cameroon? You have to think. We have to ask those questions about the Catholic Church. You have to look at the history of Catholic Church in Africa. Not only Catholic Church, religion itself in Africa. Religion in Africa. If you look at that, you remember Amazonians. During slavery, they used the religion. Today, they used the Bible. Christianity was used to enslave Africans and take them to the Western world for slavery with impunity. You must remember that. And people need to always ask this question. Why is the Catholic Church coming now? How is that linked to Cameroon? If you look clearly the Catholic Church, the Vatican, Switzerland, all those people are the birds of the same feathers, flying and trying to play the same game. Now they tried with the Swiss, they failed. Now their main agenda is perhaps to use a disguised person behind the religion, behind God, and tap into the conscience of Ambazonians. Our people must not fall for this, Southern Cameroonians. We must not fall for this. We shouldn't fall for this. That's why I want to tell you more. When you look into the American history, when the Americans were fighting their war of independence, Ambazonians, the Catholic Church was involved. The church was involved. The reason people left Britain, they left Europeans, and migrated to America, was because they were running away from the church, the principles of the church, the Catholic Church and their rulings. They want to be free. They didn't want to be part of the church and what the church is trying to do. They moved to America and they rebel against the church. Now the church has to find a way to break in again. Those of you who are in America, you know this thing better than me. When the Americans were fighting the war of independence, the very Catholic Church that is today going to show their face to Cameroon, to Ambazonia, that we are trying to mediate. We love God, we love you, we want to mediate. The very Catholic Church, Ambazonians, was fighting with the Confederate people in America to destroy the Union, the United States. Why? Why did the Catholic Church, which is the church of God, that's supposed to stand with humanity, did not support a cause in America that was fighting to free black people, to destroy slavery? A cause that was founded on the Christian value that all men and women are being created equal and by their creator. That is the cause that people like Abraham Lincoln and the great American revolutionaries, they fought to defend. That every man and woman are created equal by God. The Catholic Church did not support that idea. The Catholic Church supported the KKK. The Catholic Church supported those who were back in America. Today, those are the same enemies of African Americans in America. The same people who never wanted their slaves to be free. The Catholic Church fought with them, supported them, aided them to fight and to defeat the American Revolution. That is the history of the Catholic Church. And this is why in America, the Catholic Church have a very limited access to their stuff. Because the Americans don't want to hear anything about the Catholic Church. Because they know the evil role that the Catholic Church play in their own freedom struggle. So if you are sitting in ground zero, you are deceiving yourself that the Catholic Church that did not support the American struggle of independence is coming to support your own struggle of independence. You need to recalculate that thinking. You need to rethink. Listen, Amazonians, we know that people make their judgment because of lack of information. That's why we are here to give Amazonian people the information they need to know. When they see someone coming, you need to know who is that person and why they are coming. The Catholic Church is not coming there to mediate and to give you any option to have a right of self-determination or any option to your right to sovereignty. No, they are not. The Catholic Church is coming there to defend their interests and to continue to keep you in slavery. It's a big mafia. So if you want to trust the Catholic Church, you want to trust them, you are doing that at your own peril. If you want to trust them, it's an act of self-slavery. You are selling yourself. Listen, Ambazonians, do you know why in America, till today, almost after how many hundreds of years, Joe Biden is only the second person to ever become president of America who is a Catholic? Do you know why? Because the Americans don't want to hear anything Catholic in their governments, in their stuff. They don't want it. Because the Catholic Church fought against their freedom. It did fought against their freedom. And that is the same person now coming to deceive Ambazonians that they are coming to resolve their conflict in the name of God. The same God that they didn't use to defend humanity in America. They didn't use that God. So Ambazonians, we must understand that the Catholic Church globally in Africa don't mean good. They have never meant good. We are not condemning religion. I'm a Christian myself. I'm a strong believer of God. I'm not condemning the whole Catholic Church. But the organization itself. Do you know that the Catholic Church is the root of what they call today Egyptology, the study of Egypt? Do you know that? That the Catholic Church founded a movement to destroy African history, African civilization, to steal our history and to attribute them to the Europeans. Do you know that? Today the Catholic Church have people they call their saints, white people who are saints. People like in Africa, we have people like Shaka Zulu, great African kings, Massa Musa and many others, great African men and women, historians, scientists. People that we could call them saint today, but no saint is a black man. No saint is black. The Catholic Church. The Catholic Church is running Egyptology. The study that is discovering the ancient African people, our history, and then take that history away from us and give it to another race. The Catholic Church. The same Catholic Church in Europe, in the Western world, is discharging their priests who are involved in homosexuality and child and abuse of molestation of young people in the church. Those same priests are being sent to Africa to work in Africa with vulnerable kids in Africa. And those same kids go to Africa and molest African children. I am not against homosexuality in any way. Anybody have their right to sexual orientation. But when you go and molest children, molest them in the name of church, it's evil. The same Catholic Church is aware of that. Of those men, those priests who could not serve in Western countries, who are criminals in Western countries, who have committed crimes in Western countries. They will send them to the developing world and to where precisely? To Africa. To Africa. They will go there and continue their crimes in Africa. That's Catholic Church for you. Ambazonians, I am not saying that we should be against religion, but we must stand for what is the truth. And that is all I'm telling you to stand for. The truth. Look beyond the religion. Religion is used too often in Africa to deceive people. To deceive people and to tap into their emotions. The moment you mention religion in Africa, many people lost their reasoning. Many intelligent people lost their reasoning. They become vulnerable for anything. Religion. We must not fall for that. We must not fall for that. And we must stand firm in this time to look at the things. When Cardinal Tumi, Amazonians, when Cardinal Tumi went to CRTV and made his false statements there, he knew this person from the Pope, from the Vatican is coming. So he was clearing the airspace that this struggle is under control by Mr. Paul Biya and there's nothing to worry about. Tumi knew. They knew. All the top ranking archbishops in Ambazonia, they knew this guy was coming. But they played us. They kept it quiet. Those of us in diplomacy, we knew as well what was going on the ground. But this is where Cameroon is making their mistake also. Because they think that they can fool every person all the time. They don't know that saying is completely that you cannot fool all people all times. You can fool some people all times, but not all people. So we have been providing the Vatican with sufficient documentation on a daily basis, information about the struggle, what's going on ground zero, the impunities of Mr. Paul Biya and the war crimes. Before they came, they knew everything. Listen, there is nobody who is going to go to Cameroon and believe their story. Nobody. Unless the person have a deliberate choice to make. Like the Catholic Church. They have their choice already to make. And that choice is to stand with Cameroon and to use God and play with Ambazonians, with our conscience. Because listen, Ambazonians, the African people, we are one of the most disciplined people when it comes to religion, tradition, and other things that we practice, rituals that we practice. So you can use an African man's religion, an African person's tradition or their ritual to put them down. You can. And that is the last resort that Cameroon is trying to tap now to break our people to use church. Be very vigilant these days. I am telling you, Ambazonians, look ahead these days to see what is going to happen. Religion is going to lead the way to ease down our people and to tap them down to destroy our struggle. But we must be wise. We must be very wise. We have to be very wise. Now, there is something, Amazonia, we need to know also. We need to know this. The reason why this our struggle is taking long is because this is something that some people are like, I was thinking that, okay, maybe this kind of information we need to tell Ambazonians so we understand the ground beneath our feet. The reason this struggle is taking too long, that people are quiet, people are silent, not because they don't care. It's because of diplomacy. I'm going to explain to you, Ambazonians. Cameroon, Mr. Paul Biya, for almost 40 years that the guy is there in Cameroon, leading the country. Cameroon have a policy of non-intervention. Cameroon has never intervened in any country affair. Nothing. Cameroon is like, they're like, I am not there. They have been silent for the past 40 years. Very silent. And now, Cameroon doesn't have enemies. Really. They have really almost no enemy in the international community. Cameroon doesn't. There's a reason I'm telling Ambazonian these things. Not to give Cameroon credit. No. It's to make Ambazonian understand. So we can change our thinking. Cameroon have no enemy. They doesn't have an enemy. Now they are making enemies because of their evil crimes in Amazonia. Now they are making enemies, lot of enemies. Lot of enemies. But let me explain why we need to see these things this way. When you look at other countries where they fought this struggle of independence, in South Africa, when the Nelson Mandela's, the black South African was fighting against apartheid, the apartheid regime have a lot of enemies. In fact, the entire globe was against them. So everybody was supporting the Nelson Mandela struggle and the others. So it was easy for them to push and to defeat the apartheid regime. Because the apartheid regime itself got enemies. So the enemies of your enemy, they become your friends. That is why it is very tough for Ambazonians in the international community. Because nobody is actually an enemy of Cameroon. Nobody. I'm coming. Now, this is the thing that we need to understand. When you look at Venezuela, the crisis going on there right now, they have a lot of enemies. And those enemies are fueling the problem. It's like that. They fuel the problem. If you look at Iran, there are a lot of enemies. All these countries, you know, when these issues are going on in those countries, when the countries have many enemies, and these enemies which are even giant super countries like America and other big Western countries, then they support these struggles in one way or the other. Not maybe directly, but indirectly. You know, look at Sudan. They fought the war. There was a time that everybody was watching. And then people start to support the South Sudanese. They start to give them weapons on the ground and support to push the main regime out. Right now, Cameroon, like I said, Ambassador, Cameroon is not really dead. We need to make sure we chop off the head of the snake. We have Cameroon on their knees right now. Our feet on their knees. Cameroon is choking. But Cameroon can still make friends. They can revive their friends. They can borrow money. They can get back up. This is not time for Southern Cameroon to start to celebrate. It is not yet ending, Cameroon Ambazonians. We are still far from ending. This is not a time to start to celebrate. No, it's not a time. This is the time that we need maximum focus, maximum concentration to continue to slaughter down our enemy. Not to celebrate anything. Not at all. We must understand that we need Cameroon to have enemies. We need to push Cameroon. Because even people who countries that love Ambazonia, like Nigeria, why do you think Cameroon was able to pick our leaders from Nigeria? Because Nigeria itself, they have no issue with Cameroon. They never did. Why do you think all African countries are quiet? Because nobody have any problem with Cameroon. But this is not because Cameroon is a democratic country. No. This is because Cameroon has practiced the policy of isolation. The policy of not involving in other countries' business. Cameroon has been completely silent. Even Facebook, yes, Comrade, you are right. Even Facebook and social media is going up against Southern Cameroon because the Republic of Cameroon doesn't have enemies. So much enemy they don't have. We must understand it. Why am I telling Ambazonian these things? Why? I'm not telling you so to put down your hope. I want you to know that we need to change our strategy. We need to do so by telling the world what is going on in an organized manner. In an organized manner, we need to do that. Listen, that is the only advantage Cameroon have in this struggle. The only thing that is keeping Cameroon alive today is because Mr. Paul Biya has never involved in any country's activities. That's the only thing. If not, I can guarantee you, Ambazonians, I can tell you with certainty that many countries would have spoken out very clearly against Cameroon. But because Cameroon has been very inactive in the international community, nobody is talking. Not because they are not watching. They are watching. They are observing. They are seeing everything that is going on. But Cameroon is going to fall, and they are going to fall very fast. Very fast. So when you tie these two things together, the Cameroon without international enemies and the Catholic Church that never supported even the American Revolution, that is coming now on ground zero to deceive our people, to use religion to play on our conscience, you begin to see what is going on. That Cameroon is getting help. The Catholic Church is there to help Cameroon, not to help Southern Cameroonians, not to help Ambazonians. And that is why Ambazonians, listen, if anybody want to make a genuine dialogue, they need to talk to our leaders in the diaspora as well and those in the prison. They need to talk with Ambazonians who are fighting to restore the state of Southern Cameroons. If any person is ashamed to meet Southern Cameroonians and they go and meet Paul Biya and banish themselves with Mr. Paul Biya, don't think that person have any interest of yours. They don't. They don't. That is why you see the Catholic Church, they have no regard for our leaders, but they have high respect for Yaoundé. It's the same thing the Swiss did. The Swiss came and met our people because they discussed with Cameroon. Listen, Ambazonians, these are the things we need to understand. We need to know why did the Swiss met Ambazonian leaders? Why? If anybody is in for any genuine dialogue, there's a process to follow. The Swiss came, they tried to use us and to connive Cameroon, as if Cameroon was not aware when Cameroon was. The same with the Catholic Church. We must understand these things, Ambazonians. We need to understand these things, that these people are not there for your interests. They are not there for your interests. When the time comes, we are going to tell you that this is the time to talk. We are not there yet. We are not close. We are not close. But we shall not allow religion to play on our people. We are not going to allow religion to play on our people. I'm just crushing some small issues here before I'm going to the main subject of this live show. What we saw on Sunday, the mass in Bamenda, thousands of Amazonian people came out. They clean, fresh-looking people. They came out to support the church. Amazonians, when I saw on social media, there are very different analysis of that issue. Everybody is saying their own stuff. Eric Tato was talking his own. Everybody was preaching their own stuff. Listen, Amazonians, listen. This is where I think we must learn to put Southern Cameroon first at all times. We must put our country first at all times. When Sarko's IG group called for the indefinite lockdown, of course, that is, I said we don't respond to a mosquito bite with a hammer. We don't. That is correct. But when the Catholic Church is calling for a big mass, it was sad to say the least, Amazonians. I would say, I think I saw a post also by Capo Daniel. That was a good write-up. It is sad to see our people came out in their masses and they went to that particular mass. It is sad. Because there are two sides of this thing to look at. There are two sides. You saw during that mass, the Cameroon government, all their ministries, almost all their ministries, they were live streaming that event. They took photos, videos. They are showing the world. They were showing the world that you see everything is fine. It's just some few pockets of guys in the diaspora. They used that mass to deceive the international community. But again, that kind of a mass shows a very opposite image to what the Americans were just saying. Listen, that mass is coming just like couple of days after the U.S. Foreign Affairs Committee was confirming their U.S. ambassadors to the United Nations, and they were talking about the Cameroon crisis as an urgent matter of priority. That particular mass is coming just almost a week after Anthony Blinken is speaking clearly that Southern Cameroon is going to be a priority for them, the crisis. So this mass is now telling Americans, like, maybe you are wrong with your analysis, that this thing is not that bad. People can come to church. They came to mass, thousands of them. They were well dressed. They look well fed. They look like a people who are happy. Amazonians, if to say the least, I was depressed. To say the least, I was sad. I was sad. I was crying for those who have died. Our people need to be more intelligent than this. You cannot go to Syria, for example, and organize this kind of a mass. You cannot go to Venezuela or those other countries organize a mass like that. You can't, because there is war going on. Because the community is going to refuse to show up. But some political pundits in Amazonia say, well, it was good for them to come out so that the lockdown called by Sarko was not going to happen. It failed. No, it's not about Sarko. It's not about disproving Sarko Ekome. It's about freeing the struggle of Southern Cameroons. So you are happy because the lockdown called by Sarko did not take place. You're happy? No, you should be ashamed of yourself. That particular mass is a big sabotage of our struggle. Amazonians, we are going to take some time to recover from that particular mass. We are going to take some time to recover from that particular service. It was sad to see Amazonians sitting there. I saw the write-up made by Capo Daniel. It is good. Even though we didn't support the lockdown, but our people going to that mass is giving a very contrary message to the international community of what is actually going on in Southern Cameroons. The American government was speaking days before that mass that the crisis in Cameroon is an urgent crisis. The U.S. new regime, the Secretary of State, was speaking days before that mass that conflict in Cameroon is an urgent conflict. And then you people come up for a mass of that number of people to show that you are okay. Even if the Pope envoy who came there already knew the truth, but the image that we project to the international community, it doesn't match up, Amazonians. This is where we must add the mathematics. This is the place where Dr. Abacho will not come and free you in ground zero if you don't want to free yourself. This is the place where Comrade Lucas Ashu, Capo Daniel, all the activists, no matter what they do, no matter their effort, their analysis and explanation, their time to free you, you will not be free. Even if they take off the chains off your hands, you will not be free. You will still stay there to enslave yourself. Nobody is fighting this cause for themselves. We are fighting for everyone. So the fact that our people came out for that particular mass, this is one particular occasion I think that Southern Cameroonian leaders, we were supposed to come together as one and communicate and call for a lockdown for that day. So our people should not go there. Listen, Amazonians, listen. Some people said that, well, it was good for them to come there. That, okay, that it's just about the mass. It's not about the struggle. That that because they came for the Pope envoy. That if Cameroon called the mass, they will not go. All those are excuses. Cameroon knew that if they call that mass, you will not come there. You will not be there. They know that already. That's why they have to use the Pope to bring you out, to sell the image to the international community. So it was very poor. I must say the least. It was very poor, you know. But I applaud our soldiers on the ground for not coming up to interrupt those people. And I applaud those things. We will never turn against our people because this is a game Cameroon is playing as well. Cameroon was thinking that when these people come out for this mass, Ambazonian soldiers are going to go after them. No, but we are not going to go after our civilians. Now we need to educate the population more that that kind of an event should never happen again. If we are thinking of getting this independence soon, we should never do such an event like that. If our people were supposed to come to that meeting, they were supposed to come there for popular open demonstration with placards, with everything they have to show. You cannot go and dress nicely, look clean and fresh, and come there to tell somebody that you are facing occupation. You cannot. You cannot. So we must be more than that, Amazonians. We must be more than that. And again, we are connecting the dots here to you so you can see for yourself. Joe Biden is a Catholic. And the Catholic Church was there and they saw the thousands of Amazonians who came. Do you think that they're not going to pass that information to the Biden's administration? They are going to pass that information to the Biden administration that, you see, these people that you are talking about, this particular struggle, that these people are dying, they are actually not dying. That they are fine. Like I said, Biden is the only second American president of the United States. So, and again, the Catholic Church itself is acting like a United Nation of its own because they have all the other countries that are members of the Catholic Church, they share information. So the Catholic Church is going to pass this information to all the Catholic churches around the globe, to all the rest of the world. And this particular meeting, whether you like it or not, is going to have an impact on how those Catholic countries are going to view this conflict from now on. It's going to do. That's a simple truth. It's going to do. So the Catholic Church is making a report to them that, well, of course, this was good service. People came. Everything seems to be okay. That conflict is going to go over. Just give them some time. They are going to sort this thing down. All the other Catholic countries who are also members of the United Nations, we have that opinion or will be influenced by that. We are making things harder for ourselves, Amazonians. That particular service was a setup. Don't mind those who are trying to give all kinds of analysis there, that the priest gave a very good statement, they were speaking the truth. No. They were not there for the meeting, the speeches. They were there for the pictures and the PR, public relation issue. That's what they wanted, to show an image. Why is Cameroon doing that? Because everybody is pressing now, and Cameroon knows very well that this conflict is going to be on the table of the United Nations Security Council. And that's why Cameroon is doing everything they can to make sure it doesn't happen. And if they have one case to sell now, it's that particular Sunday Mass. That's why they brought all their government officials there. They brought them all. Because you cannot tell any other story from that. You cannot. So, Ambazonians, it was really sad. And that was possible because we are fighting ourselves instead of fighting the enemy. You know, our people were supposed to look at what is coming. We were supposed to look at what was coming, not talking to ourselves. Not talking to ourselves. We were supposed to know that we were supposed to ghost that event. And just think for yourself, if that particular Pope, the envoy of the Pope was there and then Ambazonian did not show up, it was a ghost town. Do you know the message we sent to the international community? That would have been the biggest message ever. But that was an opportunity that slipped into our fingers. It went out. It went away. Like somebody said, don't cry over spilled milk. He's right. He's right. The opportunity is gone. But I want our people to understand that that was a golden opportunity. We missed it. But we should not make that kind of a mistake again another time. We shouldn't. We shouldn't. We shouldn't do it. You know, and I really want to say this to Ambazonians. I think this is where we need to sit, those of us in the diaspora, the leadership have to rethink again. And that's why we are coming up now with the Ambazonian Youth Council. We want to mobilize the young Ambazonians, the mass majority of the population of Southern Cameroon, the youth, the very youth. We must educate our community. We cannot win this war without ground zero. We cannot. We can't. We need our people to be involved. Our people need to be convicted themselves. Nelson Mandela said something, that a good leader is a leader who is able to make his community, his people, believe in his vision. A leader who is able to make his people see his conviction and also to have the same conviction. That is a leader who succeeds. You might be a great leader with good ambitions in your head alone, but your people they are not aware, they are not informed. You will not go anywhere with them because the enemy will easily take your people. That's why Gaddafi failed. Gaddafi had a good vision for Libya, but the Libyan people were not informed. They took him out. They took him out. We must understand that Cameroon used our people for PR stunt because the UN Security Council is coming fast on their head. It's coming fast. We allowed that. That was a big mistake, Ambazonia. That was a big mistake. Like I said, we are going to make mistakes. But we are not going to sleep there and cry. We get up, dust ourselves up and move on. And move on. From now, we are moving forward. We are moving forward. We are connecting the dots here. The Pope and the Vatican, they are going to discuss with the Biden administration. Somehow, they are going to give the information. You cannot say that they are going to have this meeting, all this thing, without informing the Americans. When the Americans are now the loudest voice is the American regime. And the head of that regime is a Catholic, a very loyal Catholic. If the Pope calls him and talk with him, the matter is settled. You see? You see why that particular event was a setup for Ambazonians? It was a setup. It was a setup for us. But this is the truth. We must get our people involved. We must. Let us go back to re-educate Ambazonians. We are fighting to free everyone. We are not fighting to free some people. We are fighting for a country for Southern Cameroons. Not for me alone, or not for few people alone. It's for the rest of us. We must understand this. Our population should never fall for this kind of a simple trick that they play on us. And I want to tell Ambazonians something. Let us share some thinking. Think with me here. When you look in Syria, when the crisis was going on in Syria, the population was fully involved with those who are fighting for freedom in Syria. And that's why they got a lot of international intervention. I will explain something. Those who were fighting against Assad, they got the support of the international community. The Americans, even with the Russians, when they had their boots on the ground, when their self-defense was strong, the moment they lose the strength of their self-defense, everybody left them. Amazonians, the international community is speaking now, is talking now because of our self-defense. The moment we lose our strength on the ground, the language will change. That's why we must continue to focus. Listen, there's one thing we should focus on: self-defense. Support self-defense. We need boots on the ground. That's why I'm very glad for anybody fighting on the ground. Anybody with their groups on the ground fighting for the struggle of Southern Cameroon. We need boots on the ground. The ADF is doing a fantastic job. General RK, many self-defense groups on the ground. I can't call names of everyone. We applaud their effort. We applaud their effort. We must stay on with that spirit, and that is the thing that is needed for this struggle to succeed. Self-defense. Self-defense. Not politics. Not politics. Not game of interest, but self-defense. And now, Southern Cameroonians, there is something that I think I need to bring to your attention as well. Our language that we use in this struggle. Many Ambazonians, they are talking about independence. Of course, independence is the outcome of something. But how do you get independence? I have made many live shows. Many shows, I explain this thing again and again. Independence, you need a process to achieve independence. You must start that process, and independence is the outcome. You cannot get independent without a process. You cannot make gari without cassava. You understand? Right? You cannot make gari without cassava. You must go through the process of gari to have gari. You cannot be talking about gari without the ingredients you need to make the gari with. Now, this is the thing, Amazonians. There is two words we need to be using all the time when we talk about the struggle. Sovereignty and the right to self-determination. Those two words covers everything we want. Resolution 1608 is about sovereignty and the right to self-determination. Our international borders that were marked by international treaties. Ambazonians, do you know why our struggle, do you know why, most of you know, do you know why we are not separatists? Do you know why we are not this, what is that thing they call again? Secessionists. We are not seceding from anything. We are not. We are not separatists. We are not separating anything. We are not separating Cameroon. In fact, there was the Franco La Republique guy on TV who said there's no Anglophones in Cameroon. He's right. I saw Mimimifo make the post. There is no Anglophones in Cameroon. That is true. Yes. Because Cameroon is another country. Ambazonia is not Cameroon. It has never been. So, when we are making this argument, we should be talking about our right to self-determination and our sovereignty, the sovereign state of Southern Cameroon that is marked by international treaties. This is why we are different from the Biafra. Yes, because Biafra doesn't have international borders that was marked by any international treaty. They are trying to form a state out of Nigeria. That's the difference. But Southern Cameroon was a marked demarcated territory by international law. We have a border. We have borders separating us from Cameroon and from Nigeria. That is the big difference, Ambazonians. And we must be using the language of our sovereignty, our sovereign state, and our right to self-determination. The independence is going to come. Don't carry the word independent on your head. Independence, independence, independence. No. If you are talking about independence, people are afraid to talk to you. People want to help you be like, okay, but with this independence, what does that mean? But if you say, hey, I'm talking about my right to self-determination, they will understand you. Okay, yes, now you are talking sense. Let us talk about this right to self-determination. How can you give your right to self-determination? Then you are going to your independence still. You understand? Our people must learn to be smart when we make these arguments. We all want independence. We all want freedom. But the legal language that is going to take us to freedom, to independence, is the right to self-determination and our sovereignty. When you mention sovereignty of Southern Cameroons, you defeat Cameroon. Listen, if you mention sovereignty, Cameroon have no argument. Because Cameroon know. African Union Constitutive Act, Article 4B, which states that every African country must protect and keep their boundary that was obtained at independence. Cameroon know their boundaries. Kwame Nkrumah said in 20th of May 1963, if I'm right, that African countries, in order for Africa to have peace without war, African countries should never withdraw their borders that they obtained at independence. Kwame Nkrumah was right. And Cameroon now is taking their borders into Southern Cameroons. This is the cause of the war. So we are talking about our independence. Yes, we want to have it. But the language should be sovereignty and right to self-determination. That's the language. We must project these particular two things. We need to have our right to self-determination. How? Ask the people. Put a referendum and get the result. That's the thing. That's the thing. So we must continue to push. And we should never forget that our arguments lie within legal premises. Legal premises to restore our right to self-determination as a state. Now, I am coming to the last segment of this live show. The last segment. The new Biden administration. What to expect from the United Nations Security Council. The US resolution that they had. Resolution 684. Amazonians. It's very important we follow these issues. It's very important. You see, the United Nations was established by the Americans and Western countries. It was founded by them to project what they call the Western values. And the United Nations will always function well when these Western countries are engaged. You get the right result, the right outcome. Respect of right of rule of law, human rights, right to life, democracy, and prevention of war crimes. Those things you get the right result. China is a communist state. They only joined the UN. But China has managed to become so big within the UN. They have lobbied African countries. And China, for one, is a country that is working against the rest of the world. China have a different set of values. A very different set of values. And the values of China are not the same. They are not any good for Southern Cameroon or any African country. That's the thing. So, China is a bad agent in the UN. Trying to impose their own Chinese values in the UN. There's a reason why I'm explaining this thing. I'm coming to the point. The last American administration, the Donald Trump administration, did not have any foreign policy for Africa. To them, they call Africa the shithole countries. They were not engaged. Even at the UN, Trump was not engaged at the UN. And that's why China took over the UN within the past 4 years. Influenced African countries. The UN was not able to do anything. The UN could not do anything within the last 4 years because the politics in the UN was too bad that they couldn't do anything. That's why the UN was not able to talk about our conflict, because China was behind. China will veto everything, was pushing everything, because the Americans were not engaged. That's the point. The Americans, not that China is bigger than America. No, they are not. They are not stronger than them in any way. But because America was not engaged, China filled the vacuum with their policies in Africa. China has been running Africa within the past 4 years. But thank God the Americans are back. Thank God Joe Biden is back and the American regime is back to engage in the UN. And now, you hear the Secretary of State was saying that American government is going to take the crisis in Cameroon very seriously. Very seriously. As a matter of priority, they are going to engage to find solutions to end the crisis. When you make that kind of a public statement during your confirmation hearing, it's not just a public speech. No. Because if you don't keep to those things, you will face legal consequences when you get out of office. You'll be challenged. So when they make those statements, it means they actually have a plan. They actually have a plan and a way to go about this thing. They did. They do have. So those are not just mere statements. They are very strong statements that have huge implications on this struggle. And like we keep telling Amazonians, the United Nations Security Council is going to pass a resolution. We need a resolution about this conflict. And that's why you see the most powerful document we have so far in this struggle. Thanks to the powerful comrades in America, Dr. Fontaine Niba, and all the powerful diplomatic team we have in the United States, they have fully engaged the US Senate and many strong politicians in America. And the Americans have the resolution. Listen, this is the first so far a proper legal document we have about Southern Cameroon crisis with Cameroon for the past 50 years. It's the first one. And it's a very good thing, because this struggle is going to move forward only with resolutions. We need resolutions. Only them. So we are waiting very soon a resolution from the United Nations Security Council. And that is going to be brought on the table by the American regime. Now, let me explain to you why I'm saying these things. Let me explain to you why, Amazonians. You see, the new United States ambassador to the UN, Ambassador Linda Thomas Greenfield. A little bit of history, so you can check her track record. She was the former Assistant Secretary of State of Africa. You know, the same office that is held now by the President Thibault Nagy, or how they call this guy. She was the former one in Obama's administration. So you know, she knows Africa very well. She have acted in capacity of ambassador in African countries, American ambassador to African countries, couple of them. She have been in that. She knows Africa in and out. She knows the continent in and out. In and out. So she's not a newcomer. Cameroon, Amazonians. Cameroon, she's well informed about Cameroon. You know, the one good thing that sometimes when you look into this our crisis, you can see the fact that you have one president for almost 40 years occupying Southern Cameroon is a plus, because this man is known. Everybody knows Paul Biya very well. If Cameroon had like 10 presidents, we say different regimes change, policies have been changed, but no, we have the same playbook for 40 years. So Cameroon is well known. Everybody knows the Biya's policy, Cameroon's policy. And everybody knows that Cameroon is being sustained by France. So the Americans already know this by now. Everybody knows this particular fact. And that makes Cameroon weak. Cameroon is a very low-hanging fruit. It's a fruit that is just there. Just take the low-hanging mango, low-hanging fruit for the US to pluck, to reach. You know? It's a low-hanging fruit. And you're going to see, what will the American gain if they get involved to bring solution to this conflict. Because this thing, politics is a game of interest. International system is running with interest. The Americans have a lot to gain in Amazonia. They have a lot, and they are going to step in because they cannot allow that to go in the hands of France and China. They can't. They can't. So, and France, like I said all the time, France is not going to go down with Cameroon. No, they will not. When the force of change is coming, France is going to step aside. And Cameroon and Mr. Paul Biya, they are going to go down for themselves. So we must understand this thing. Cameroon is a low-hanging fruit. Cameroon is not a strong country like Iran or any other country. Cameroon is not even as strong as Libya. Cameroon is weak. Cameroon is like, they can just crush Cameroon anytime. America can just get Cameroon on the table any day they want. Cameroon is not a country to contest with them in anything. Cameroon cannot. So it is not going to take American government, the Biden administration, like some effort to bring Cameroon to the table. It's not going to take them any sweat to bring Cameroon to the table. Cameroon is an easy, busy business. Easy, busy. They'll bring them down the table. Small boys, come here, sit down. This is the solution. You know, it's easy. Cameroon is going to go down. That we are going to see these things within this year. I can assure Ambazonians, this 2021 will be a great year for Southern Cameroon. It will be a very great year for our struggle. We are going to see Cameroon going down on their knees. So, even during the hearing of the American ambassador to the UN, she said that America will be very engaged to make sure that they protect their interests in Africa. They advance their policies in Africa. They advance the American values in Africa. And they advance humanity in Africa. Peace and stability. And she promised as well, they promised that America will be engaged to make sure that the United Nations Security Council will not be a place that will be used by countries like China to derail justice in Africa. That is something powerful. Ambazonian, that is something powerful. We have a regime that is coming to fight for Africans. That is coming to fight for Ambazonians. It's coming to fight for justice. The Biden administration. Ambassador Linda Thomas Greenfield was the former African Secretary of State for Obama administration. She was there for 8 years in Africa. 8 years. She knows everything in Africa. She even knows, she's well aware about this problem. Before it came up in 2016, she knew everything. She's not a new person in the field. So we don't even have to like, oh, we need to inform her. No, she is already well informed, Ambazonians. That's why I'm saying that we are very lucky, Southern Cameroonians. We are lucky. I must say this all the time. This is the best time to finish this revolution. This is the time now. There's no better time than this. You know, it was God's will that Donald Trump was president in America. I will say this openly. That he was there. It was a will. It was destiny. That he was president, and for 4 years, he was silent, and Mr. Paul Biya was crushing Ambazonians for 4 years. And the world was shouting. So now that the Biden regime, the new regime is coming, it's not like a new problem. It's a problem that has been there for 4 years. Everybody has seen the impunities, the horrific videos coming up from ground zero. Everybody knows. So we are lucky that this crisis is not starting now. It's already it's something old. And now the crisis is ripe. I said this from the beginning, that every conflict in the world, there's always a time when it's ripe for mediation. It's ripe for intervention. And right now, our struggle is ripe. It's ripe for intervention. And the US new regime is going to engage. The United Nations Security Council is going to engage to invoke the responsibility to protect in Ambazonia. It's a global responsibility, a global commitment by every African country, by the globe entirely, by the UN Security Council the responsibility to protect. And some Africans, we are always quick to make judgment with things. When we are talking about the responsibility to protect, some people might be thinking that, oh, this was a Western policy used to impose on Africans. No. Listen, Ambassador, we need to understand these things. African leaders are the ones who even designed and brought about the idea of the responsibility to protect. It was not brought by Europeans or the Western people. It was brought by African leaders. When? After the 1994 genocide in Rwanda, Kofi Annan and many African heads of state, they saw that there is a need for a certain system by the international community that can be used to protect civilians in case something like that happen again. They coined the phrase, they brought the policy, they draft the stuff and presented it to other countries. So the responsibility to protect is an idea that was brought by African countries, not by European countries or Western countries. It was brought by African countries. They lobbied the international community, sold the idea to the United Nations, and it becomes a policy and an arm of the UN. That in 2000, during the World Global Head of State Summit, all the head of state signed and adopted that every country have the responsibility to protect. When they see that a state, any state fails to uphold that responsibility to protect their civilians, then by default, other countries have the right and the legal duty to step in to protect those civilians. And we have seen that played in Cameroon for so long over the past 4 years. And now it's time for the UN to strike their responsibility to protect in Amazonia. And that only needs a pushing regime. Listen, the UN cannot function well without American engagement. I always tell Amazonians this thing. If you want to look around the globe, look around the globe. Anywhere in the world that there's any changes going on, without the Americans, you cannot achieve anything. America is the #1 force in the world. You cannot achieve nothing without the Americans. That's why Biden government was just Donald Trump's regime was just there, and they didn't do it. They were not engaged. So Africa nothing was even possible to be solved in Africa. So we now have an American regime which is going to be engaged. They are saying that we are pledged to be engaged. We are going to be engaged in Africa, in the UN. And all that we needed was that engagement from the United Nations by Americans. And that is coming. And that is there. Right now. That is there. You know. So when you are talking about a negotiation, you need Americans to be on board to make sure things move. You need the political muscles and the physical military muscles on ground to make things move. And the Americans are the best people to do this job, not the Vatican. Not the Vatican. You need Americans on board anyway. And we already have them on board, fully committed. Look at it. Watch the recent statement made also by Karim Bass about the deportation of Amazonians in America. They are well aware and they are going to push. And these are things that we are pushing forward. And we hope that Amazonians, we can understand these things and take advantage of them. We should not be celebrating. We shouldn't be so cheap to be deceived by religion and church. Those who went for that church service, you dress nice, you look sharp. Remember Baby Martha. Remember Mami Apin. Remember Sam Sawyer. All those who have died, remember them. They will never have a chance to see another daylight like that. You somehow betrayed them. You did. You somehow betrayed them. And for some people who think that because they have not lost any person in this struggle, or this struggle have not touched your family, you think that you're untouched. We are all connected into this struggle, one way or the other. Everybody is going to pay a price. So today, if I'm paying the price, and you think you can put your good clothes on and go to church, your day will come. We must stand for the common good. I don't see any reason why anybody whose village is being burned, kids are being killed, people are being raped. I don't see any reason why such a person is going to put on a fine cloth and go to a church service. I don't see any reason. It's not possible. It's unheard of. Let us not deceive ourselves. Let us not shoot ourselves on the foot, Ambazonians. We should be wise. We should be wise. And any time that any Southern Cameroonian is killed, when they are doing the burial, we should use that burial as an advantage, as an opportunity to come out and protest and sell our struggle to the international system. Anytime that somebody is being killed, we should carry the casket around, parade the street with the casket, take videos and put them in the international in the internet. The world should see them. We should be crying every day and night, not going to churches to pray. Not going to church to pray. So, Ambazonians, this is something that we must embrace fully. The American regime is now very committed to engage in the United Nations Security Council. The new American government is very engaged is very committed to be engaged to find solutions to end the impunities in Southern Cameroons. And the Paul Biya regime is very aware that in the months ahead, there is no way possible that this conflict is not going to be discussed in the UN Security Council. And when it's discussed, we are going to have a resolution. And from that resolution, it is done for Cameroon. It is done. And that is why they are fighting. And they're using even the church now to play on your emotions, on your intelligence, on your conscience, to get you to sideline with them. I remind you, I told you today, Ambazonians, that the Catholic Church is number one enemy in America, because the Catholic Church fought against the American independence struggle. The Catholic Church was fighting with the Confederate people to defeat the United States of America, to defeat the Union. The Catholic Church was fighting with those who owned slaves to maintain their slavery of our people, Africans. That is the same Catholic Church that is coming today to you to say that they want to mediate and they want to sort out things for your best interests. Don't be deceived, Ambazonians. Don't be deceived. We must stay focused. Commit on ground zero. Support ground self-defense force. We must continue to sponsor, to put in money day in, day out on our forces on the ground. And we must also call, and we are calling for collaboration. Somehow we need to work together. We need to start by looking at the things that we agree on. Work on those things. Most of the times, Ambazonians are starting to talk about the things they disagree on. And they forget about the many things they agree on. The one thing that you disagree on with someone, it becomes the number one priority for you. It's wrong. You must look at the things you agree on with the person, not a disagreement. We must stay focused on the struggle. So the Pope envoy came there, the Vatican person came there, they look at what they want to look. But Ambazonians, we are not going to blink. We shall not blink. We are going to push and push to the finish line. We are going to push to the finish line. And the fact that the Vatican is sending an envoy to Cameroon is also a political message that they are aware there's a problem. Because when there's no smoke, there cannot be fire. Where there's no fire, there cannot be smoke. So they are coming there because there is fire, there is a problem there. So, Ambazonians, again, we should be seeing that our struggle is on the stage of the international community. And the world is talking. And everyone is pivoted towards Southern Cameroons. It's just a matter of time. The clock is ticking. These are the last days of Cameroon occupation of Amazonia. And our people on the ground need to understand this and stay patient. They don't have to give up now. we are very close to freedom. We are very close. And as a nation, we are going to get the freedom, not as individuals. Not as individuals. We shall get there as a nation. And we need to stay focused. So, Ambazonians, I think for me, this is like what I wanted to put out today to you people. I hope that people understand it and get the point of my message today. Those things I want to talk about: the religion, the role of the Catholic Church, how we cannot trust the Catholic Church, and also what is coming, what we are expecting from the United States new administration and the UN Security Council. And please, I have a live show again on Friday with a staff from the Global Center for the Responsibility to Protect in New York. Be there on Friday. Check my Facebook page. You will see the live show. Flyer is there, and we shall continue on this discussion. I just came up today to explain these few things to Ambazonians, and on Friday we are going to go deep to discuss about how the UN is going to intervene and how intervention is possible to make sure that justice is served in Ambazonia. So thank you very much, and God bless you, Ambazonians. I will finish with an anthem, with our anthem as usual, as tradition. Yes, comrade, thank you very much for being here with me tonight, and please kindly share this video so others can watch. And I will see you on Friday. If you have any question you want to send to our guests on Friday, you can send it to me on Facebook, or you can send it to me through WhatsApp as well. And don't miss the show on Friday. It's going to be a very important show. We are going to talk about the responsibility to protect in Ambazonia. So thank you very much for being here, and please follow the activities of the Ambazonian Youth Council. We call on all the youth of Southern Cameroon to join us. Let us push and fight to free our homeland, so we can have a place to call home in future. A place that justice can reign, a place that democracy can be the leading instrument in society, a place that people will be respected, and a place that equality is going to reign, a place that people are going to be prosperous, that we can call home. Bless Amberland. So thank you very much, and long live Southern Cameroons, and short live the struggle. Thank you. For me, this is good night and bye bye. 21 gun salute.